Welcome, everybody, to the DAWGS podcast. I am your host, Clarence Wilson. And this week, we have a special guest, one of the co-hosts of All Things Cavalier, our main man, Joey Schneider. Joey, how you feeling, brother?
What's going on, Clarence? Very excited to talk about a lot of Brown stuff today.
Yeah,
man. We had the preseason, some very, very bad, some moderately good, and we're gonna get into all that good stuff. But
yeah. Before we want to give a quick shout out to our man, R, Ruben Rodriguez. He's stepping away for a little bit. We just want to give our love to R. Ruben, miss you, brother. We're looking forward to your return, but take your time. Make sure everything is right.
Tio, love you, buddy. Hope to see you soon, but I will be filling in for the time being. Can't replace Tio, but I'm gonna do my best. But my love of the NFL, my love of all things Browns, we're gonna rock out some really solid shows. People, it's time. Almost here. First preseason game under the belt. 3-4 weeks left until the home opener. Ruben, I'm sorry. Still got Ruben on the brain, Clarence. Clarence, Watson started this game after us not knowing if he was going to be able to start. He's got the ongoing saga of how long is Deshaun Watson going to be suspended for. It's almost a game at this point. I don't know. I think I've sold squares. It's just ridiculous. Like, just give the team a number. Let us know how long he's going to be gone, so the Browns as a team can figure out what they're going to do. But he did start this preseason game. He went 1 for 7. He looked like he had not played in about 19 months, which was to be expected. I didn't think that he was going to come out as, a gunslinger like he was, 2 years ago. I knew that he was going to have some issues. Amari Cooper was not on the field, so he didn't even have his number one wide receiver. Lot of issues that seem to be going on there with the wide receiving core, especially Anthony Schwartz. But Watson looked very uncomfortable. He looked like it looked like maybe the last 2-3 passes, he was kind of getting a little bit of a rhythm, trying to shake off that rust. But this was just to be expected. And anyone who wants to look any further into it, I think it's a preseason game. I think there's other positions that you could probably take more away from, but this was just, this for me was just, I figured he was going to be rusty, and that's exactly how he looked.
Yeah, it's exactly what I expected. If he had came out there and started slinging it around, I would have been pleasantly surprised. But as we said, the guy hasn't played. He didn't play at all last season. So it is what it is. I'm not super concerned about him. Number one, because he hasn't played in since 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And number two, he's not going to be playing. He's not going to be the starter for bare minimum the first 6 games. Right. So, that'll hopefully he'll be able to knock a little bit of rust off and hopefully get in a spot where he's comfortable, feels good. And we're all right now of the NFL and what they're going to decide for him. The part that bothers me the most, the more I think about it, is I really wish that they had went ahead and gotten all this stuff out of the way before the NFL, that is, had levied all punishments or whatever before a team was able to trade for him. But we're well beyond that. His performance, again, not super concerned. It's like we said, it's the preseason. I mentioned it last week. I remember watching Brady Quinn walk out there against second teamers, third teamers, and he looked great. He made those guys look like they were second and third teamers.
Right.
Now we saw the end result of that. He was just okay at best. So yeah, him I'm not concerned about. I am concerned about the center position at this particular moment.
Yep.
With Harris going down and their third string center, I believe it's Dawson Deaton. He went down today in practice. This is something we kind of discussed a little bit before. Is it Tretter time for, from the things that you and I both kind of heard? The way that the Browns and Tretter parted ways was not very amicable. So I'll pose the question to you: what do they need to go do to get Tretter back on this squad? Because it's looking like he is going to be needed.
Yeah. So a lot of the sources have said that the Browns are, would be willing to bring JC Tretter back, but that the feeling is not mutual. JC Tretter is not, all in on the Browns. Whether that's true or not, that's anyone's guess. Sources, have been wrong a lot before. It's not like, everyone is saying this. It's just a couple of sources that we've heard. The thing is do you need JC Tretter? No, I think you could probably find another serviceable center somewhere in free agency, but I think you want JC Tretter back because he knows the system already. Exactly. He's already been here. He knows what's going on. He is a free agent. We have a ton of cap space. It's not like, I don't think you got to give the guy 1 year, 10 million. I think that you could probably get away with like 1 year, maybe 6 million. I mean, no one else has signed him yet. And he's still a really good center. It's just that, most teams don't value centers as much as guards and tackles. And, so it's just a matter of, can the Browns, give a number and maybe sweet talk Tretter into wanting to come back. And like I said, do you need Tretter? No, you can go after someone else. But, and this is the biggest thing for me, is that Tretter knows the system. It's not going to take him long at all to get acquainted with the system. He knows it. He did it last year. He did it for the last, 3 years, 3 or 4 years. So, great center. We know he's the NFLPA president. It's not, it's the perfect fit, it really is. And it's not, Nick Harris was being groomed to take over the center position. And it's just, it's a shame that he went down on the second play of the preseason game. But if you're looking to get someone, for me personally, I would do whatever it takes to get Tretter back. It's just,
it's that easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
He knows the system. He knows the coaching staff. Like it's plug and play at this point.
Exactly. He knows all the players.
Yes. Yeah. You get a guy, you get a free agent or a guy, he's going to have to learn pretty much the entire organization, coaching staff, everything else. So that would be the move. But I guess we'll kind of have to stay tuned because, as you said, it doesn't seem to be there seemed to be a mutual interest. And from some of the things I heard today, even if he were to come back, that he's not jumping on no flight tomorrow to get here. He'd probably be kind of holding out and probably wait until a lot of the preseason is over. But, at this point, I feel like that's the guy they need to go after to plug that gap. And you're getting a seasoned professional who knows everything about the team. So
exactly. I mean, it's a no-brainer. Hopefully they can work something out. If they can't, well, hopefully we can bring someone in who's a quick study and can learn the system very quickly, who can mesh with the other linemen and, perform where we thought Nick Harris was going to perform this season or where JC Tretter has performed in the past few seasons. So hopefully, that might be Pochik too. We don't know. Maybe he does perform well. Yeah. And we just bring in another backup, but we'll see what's going to be going on with that in the next few weeks. And, it's smart by Tretter to kind of stay away from preseason, especially when you saw what happened. And if I was the Browns, I don't know if I'd almost play anyone important after seeing that happen.
Yep.
But it is what it is. So kind of moving along, we did get to see a lot of rookies play in this game. A lot of second year, players, a lot of rookies in this game. Just kind of sticking with the rookies here, Clarence. who jumped off the screen at you and you were like, you know what? Wow, like this guy seems like he might be able to make an impact.
It's Ford.
Jerome Ford.
Jerome Ford, like he had the explosive run. What, it was a 41-yard run, and then ended up capping that off with a touchdown. The one thing I kind of noticed about him, because people were trying to kind of compare him to Kareem a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see him, like, he doesn't run violently like Kareem. You know, when Kareem is running, like everything is moving, and you better hang on tight if you're trying to grab him, similar to Chubb. One of the main things I noticed was Ford's vision. On that 41-yard scamper, he ended up going a little bit. The blocking all went to the left, and it seemed like he cut back to the right and then cut back out to the left again and was gone. So I liked his vision, and I liked his explosiveness. Is he a replacement for Kareem? Time will tell. But if so, I would feel comfortable with a backfield of Chubb, or a running back room, of Chubb, Dearness, and Ford, and just let those guys hash it out. In a perfect world, I want Kareem to stay here.
Right.
But, he wants to get his money. He is a former NFL rushing champion, and he's in a timeshare right now with another great back. So, there's only so many touches. I would like to think that that Kareem might get a chance to maybe hit the wide receiver, go out and catch some passes at wide receiver, since we're struggling at that spot. But Ford was the guy, I guess, that kind of stepped out to me, and I was kind of like, wow, this guy's as advertised.
Yeah, he had a great career, collegiate career at Cincinnati, and like you said, one of the things, when Kareem runs the ball, he's he hits the hole, he hits it violently, and it's like he creates his own lanes. Whereas Ford is much more patient. He's waiting. Yeah. The game seems, even though this was his first preseason game, and guys, I want you to understand, I know this was a preseason. Me and Clarence, we know this was a preseason game.
Yeah,
we understand it's pretty much not a real game. We understand, but it's valuable experience, especially for a lot of the second year guys, especially for the rookies, to see how fast the NFL plays at. And when you look at some guys, you can just see in those first few games what they're kind of going to be like a little bit. And Ford just seemed like he takes his time, he finds where he finds the hole where he wants to hit, and then he goes for it.
Yes.
Kareem is like, there could be a hole that is the size of a pin needle, and he'll bust through it. Whereas, Ford, it just seems like the game was already slowed down from enough where he was able to find his spots and have a nice game. And he also had a really nice game receiving as well. I think he ended up with 90 all-purpose yards. So it was 40 plus rushing. 40 plus rushing, 40 plus receiving. So someone to keep an eye out. For me, it was Isaiah Thomas, the rookie edge rusher out of Oklahoma. 2 sacks. I believe he had 4 or 5 tackles as well. Especially for a guy that I think he was a 7th round pick for us. I want to say 6th or 7th round pick. Played very well on defense, especially, obviously we didn't play Myles Garrett. We didn't play Jadeveon Clowney. We saw a lot of rookies, but I thought that he really stepped up, and obviously he was playing second and third team guys, but anytime a rookie comes in, first game, 2 sacks, I think that's important. Also, got to give a shout out to probably my favorite rookie as of right now, and who I think I'm going to love. I'm definitely getting his jersey. I put it out on Twitter. Everyone said it's all right. Mr. Cade York. I mean, can anyone not like? I think Cade York. Listen, one preseason game and in training camp. I'm not going to put the guy in the Hall of Fame, but I think that it's safe to say the Browns have found their kicker for the next 15 years. I mean, the kid just seems like he's got a rocket boosted to his leg and can just make it from anywhere. I mean, we've seen him in preseason make a 75-yard field goal. So, he was 2 for 2 in preseason and 1 for 1 I'm sorry, 2 for 2 for extra points, and then made I think almost a 40-yard field goal. I think it was like 38 or something like that. But if you can get consistency out of your kicker, that just makes all the difference in the world. So, and one of the other things I want to talk about, Clarence, is some of the rookies we didn't get to see. We didn't get to see David Bell, wide receiver, and this is for me a very suspect wide receiver room outside of Amari Cooper and maybe Donovan Peoples-Jones. We didn't get to see David Bell, who apparently has only dropped one ball in all of preseason or in all of training camp. We didn't get to see Mike Woods, the rookie wide receiver from Oklahoma, who has had an outstanding training camp as well. Two really good rookie receivers. And Anthony Schwartz just struggled mightily. I mean, like what was that? Three drop passes. Oh my God. I'm sorry. I mean, this is, and I wanted to ask you this question. And me and Clarence talked before the show, and some things we knew what we wanted to talk about. Some things we're just going to kind of, wing it on and just kind of come up with. Do you think that they need to? Because for me, they need to sign another wide receiver. Do you think they need to sign another wide receiver? We're good.
I've been saying it for weeks, man. They need to sign another wideout. They need to actually, in my mind, they need to sign 2 more wideouts, 2 veteran wide receivers. Number one, there was a span, what was that, like a couple weeks ago, where wide receivers were dropping like flies. Mm-hmm. And one of my biggest fears with this team is that Coop goes down. You're back to the same wide receiver core you had last year that couldn't get any separation and some rookies. That's a scary thought to me.
I think that it's a worse wide receiver core than it would than last year. I mean,
and it's minus Jarvis. Excuse me, minus Jarvis.
Yeah,
but he didn't play a lot. He was hurt a lot last year. So our top wideouts were DPJ and whoever the hell else they could find. Schwartz was hurt as well.
I think our top wideouts was DPJ and Njoku. I know he's a tight end, but I believe he was I think he was 2nd or 3rd in receiving yards, and he had the most receiving touchdowns.
Yeah, the wide receiver position is very, very, very thin. On this podcast, I've been saying it for weeks. They need to go out and get, not just, in my mind, they have to get at least 1. Mm-hmm. But in my mind, they really need to get 2, because, as I said, if Coop goes down, it's going to get ugly.
I agree 100%.
That's their top guy. Right. That's the guy they went out and traded for.
Which was a hell of a trade. I mean, a 5th round draft pick, and you got him for a long time on $20 million a year compared to what a lot of the receivers have gotten in contracts lately. But I don't know why they haven't gone out and tried to sign Will Fuller, a guy who's familiar with Deshaun Watson. He was there in Houston. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know Fuller's had some injury problems, but we're talking about bringing JC Tretter back. How about bringing a guy back that is familiar with Deshaun Watson, the quarterback that can anticipate where he's going to throw, knows him as the player? That just makes sense to me. You can't rely on Schwartz because he has not proved anything. If anything, he's proved that he has not been what he was supposed to be. And he was a 3rd round pick 2 years ago. On top of that, you're almost, if, like you said, if Amari goes down, you're relying on DPJ, who did have, he had a solid season last year, but you're only talking 500 receiving yards to become your number 1 receiver. And then you're looking at two rookie, receivers in David Bell and Mike Woods to kind of step up as well. So, are you looking at Dimitri Felton to kind of step up there too? I mean, this wide receiver room is just so suspect, and they need to get someone. I'm not saying it has to be Fuller. It could be someone else, but they need, like you said, 1, maybe 2 receivers. They haven't gotten anyone. It seems like they're going to roll with what they have, but man, it's scary. It's like seeing how Schwartz was catching. It's scary because now you're like, okay, they can, we have to rely on DPJ a lot because they know that they could probably one-on-one Schwartz. I mean, they could probably put linebacker on Schwartz for God's sake. Double team Cooper, and you better pray to God that DPJ has improved.
Yeah.
Over the last year to the point where he can be a burner.
Well, I agree with you on the Fuller point, because I feel like Fuller, the idea of Fuller is what's almost kind of like what we expect out of Schwartz. Fuller's bigger, but he's a burner. Like, and I think they need somebody who can take the top off of defense. We know Amari, it's well documented about him being one of the best route runners in the NFL. So he's going to be in the spot, you know, to make those crucial catches and things like that. But they need a guy who can take the top off the defense. I've been hoping it was Schwartz since last year. I'm not completely down on the kid. He had a terrible, terrible first game. I expect him to come back in game 2, be much better. But again, he's a second-year player, and he's more of a world-class speed track star kind of guy than a polished wide receiver. Yeah. So, and I agree with you 100% on Fuller. He has the rapport with Watson. I don't know if maybe they're waiting for cuts or, you know, what exactly they're doing, but I'd like to believe that they aren't going to roll into this season with, you know, if they got Deshaun Watson, I would think that they would get him some weapons on the outside of just Coop, to be able to show everything that he can do.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think DPJ is going to have a really solid season this year, especially if him and Cooper can stay healthy. But if you sign someone like Fuller, you can put him in the slot. You can then rotate guys like Bell, Woods in as well to get them experience. I think that, you know, so one more good veteran receiver actually opens up the wide receiver room. So you have guys that you can rely on. Especially, so, you know, we haven't talked about tight ends. You know, you have Njoku, Harrison Bryant. We know what they can do. They've been solid. You know, Njoku, we're still waiting for that next step. Hopefully this new contract means he's going to take that next step. But one more solid wide receiver, like I said, it opens up that wide receiver room. And if you can stay healthy, you can get your rookies some experience while also giving your quarterback weapons. And they're going to need it, especially, you know, like you said, Watson, minimum 6 games, possibly, you know, up to a year, maybe indefinite. We don't know. That's such a big unknown. You know, one of the other things I want to cover on, the secondary looks scary. We look great in the secondary.
Yeah, I mean, you figure if you go back and you look at even back to the Dorsey days, they have revamped their secondary over the last 3 years, 4 years. They've had some guys float in, some guys float out, but they drafted Ward. They came back, they drafted Newsome, and this year I was kind of shocked when they drafted Emerson. I was like, you know, we got all these guys back there already with Greedy too as well. They drafted Emerson. So they've definitely invested in the secondary, and I expect that to be one of the strong parts of the defense. I don't expect to see anything like we saw last year in the games against like Arizona and the LA Chargers, where receivers are just running around back there wide open, making catches that you and I could make because they're so damn open.
Right. You know, and the crazy thing is you're almost wondering if anyone's going to get cut from that secondary, because there's so many good. You got Ward, you got Newsome, you got Greedy, who still, you know, Greedy has to still prove. Emerson looked really good. A really good training camp, really good in his first preseason game. AJ Green has been looking really good in training camp. You got Grant, Delpit at safety, John Johnson, Harrison. Ryan, yeah. I mean, it's crazy. This secondary is so loaded. I mean, I'm almost curious if you're better, you know, running a nickel package out there, just because you got so many really good cornerbacks. I mean, you know, we'll see as time goes on. You know, kind of one of the last things I want to talk about, Clarence, is just a question, and you know, we've heard about this a lot over the past I shouldn't say few weeks, maybe 10 days or so, that if you know, Watson gets a lengthy suspension, the Browns might be interested in trading for Jimmy Garoppolo from the 49ers. What are your thoughts about that?
So right here on this podcast, we had Tyvis Powell on, who actually played with Jimmy G. And I've never been a big Jimmy G fan. I told Tyvis, I said, Tyvis, sell me on Jimmy G. Sell me on Jimmy G. And he did. I'm still not a huge fan, but at this point, with what we're looking at, I don't want to give up a lot for him. I almost feel like he's almost in that Baker situation, that situation where Baker was in, where if we wait long enough, they might just let him go. I don't know if how many teams are, trying to trade for Jimmy G at this particular point. I would think there's probably not a bunch. The Browns played hardball with Baker. I don't know if they're going to do that I don't know if San Fran's going to do that.
Yeah.
If we can get him for next to nothing, then why not? It brings a little bit more excitement to the team while we're waiting for the Watson saga to come to whatever conclusion it's going to come to. What's your thoughts on Jimmy?
I like Jimmy. I mean, he took a team to a Super Bowl, so that right there shows me that he can get to the
That's
dance.
Defense.
Well, still, I think that he's in that Baker. He's in that Baker conversation as far as like probably tier list. I put him in the Baker tier, maybe even a little higher, honestly. But it's like you said, it's about what are you willing to give up? I'd be willing to give up a 3rd round pick. I wouldn't go any more than that, especially considering the fact that the Browns really don't have a whole lot of picks over the next 3 years.
Yeah.
To me, that's actually a really high pick, a 3rd round pick, especially knowing what AB can do with those 2nd, 3rd, 4th round picks. So I think that's a fair offer for Jimmy G, a 3rd round pick. Whether or not that's something that they would do, who knows? But I think that, it's not that I don't trust Jacoby Brissett. I just think that I think Jimmy G probably gives you a better chance of winning with this team, especially through a lengthy suspension for Deshaun Watson. If it's 6 games, I think you stand pat. You let Jacoby do his thing. You probably come out maybe 3-3, 4-2, maybe, especially with how easy the schedule is early on. And if it's a lengthy schedule, you might want to go and think about getting a Jimmy G for the year and seeing where he could take this team. But Clarence, first
we're at our time.
First Den of the Dogs with me as co-host. Again, T.O. Rubin, we love you, buddy. Get better soon, but unfortunately, the season goes on. The show must go on. Den of Dogs. If you guys haven't had a chance, check out all of our other great programming on Believeland Media, All Things Cavaliers, Guardians of the CLE, the Pile Driver Podcast. Great shows, great people. Check out all of the articles at BelievelandMediaLLC.com. Clarence, it's an honor. It's an honor to do this podcast with you, man. I love you.
No, brother, it's good. It's good that you're here. You know how I feel about you, man. One of the backbones of the whole Believeland Media. And we're gonna rock out. We're gonna rock out, and we're gonna make this happen. We're gonna bring you guys Browns content, and like you said, check out everything that we're doing. Do you like wrestling? We got you. You want to read about the Monsters hockey? We got you. Outside of our Cavs and our Indians, damn it, and our Gardos coverage, put $1 in the tip jar for that one. Well, folks, as usual, you know the routine. Even though my man Double R isn't here anymore, you know the routine. If you don't wear brown and orange, you don't matter.
See you guys in the next one.